All right. All right. So Tony, good to have you on. So tell us a bit about yourself. What were you doing before you started obviously doing building inspections, and what got you into it?
Mate, Logan, thanks for having me, mate. A bit about my background. Look, my family's been in the building and construction industry probably since the late 60s. My dad's been building all around Australia, all the different states throughout Australia. So got a lot of experience in our family. Probably for the last 20 odd years, I sort of took over the family business. My dad retired in probably the 99. I did a couple of other things before I took over the business, which was actually bricklaying, building houses through Perth, and renovating. I used to do a lot of renovating, my own projects. And so I spent a lot of the last 20 years working for quite a lot of the local builders.
No, awesome.
So that's a bit of my background. And I think after a few years, it sort of catches up to you. So I had a few health issues with the elbows, repetitive tennis and golfers elbow. Tennis. So basically, look, I had to pull the pin and get off the tools, and I thought, I wanted to stick to sort of what I knew best and what I enjoyed to do. So I looked at doing building inspections.
Yeah, no, awesome. And why gyms in the end? Like, there's obviously a lot of companies out there, and what got you into building inspections?
I've always been self-employed, and look, even when I went into doing building inspections, I was going to start up my own business and do that type of thing. Look, before I did made any decisions, I spoke to a lot of the local operators, see who was going on, like what they're doing, and just by talking to a few of them, look, there was quite a few a lot of mixed responses. There was some good feedback, some quite negative feedback. Like some of the guys, like, mate, why would you want to do building inspection? It's very high risk occupation. And actually, it was one of the guys that I spoke to. He's an operator in Perth, but I don't think he's around for much longer. He actually had one of his inspectors, basically carried out an inspection, failed to miss that there was a major termite damage to this home.
Yep.
Client bought the house and then basically discovered that there was over 200,000 in termite damage. So basically sent this inspector to the wall, got sued, the whole lot. And obviously the company got a bad name. And it was stuff like this. I thought, oh, mate, is this something that I really want to get into? And put myself, something that all these things that I've built up and, it's taken me years to get there and all of a sudden get into a new business and just lose everything overnight. Is that something that I really want to do? So I thought, I need to be very, very careful on how I go about doing my, setting up my business. So look, I looked into gyms and I was quite I wouldn't say surprised, but look, just the way they operated. I spoke to quite a few of the guys here. There's 11 of us here in WA actually. And they all come from different backgrounds. Registered builders, brickies, even commercial lawyers, construction managers. So there's quite a good mix of inspectors in the group. But we've all got a different background with a wealth of knowledge. And that's just something I wanted to be part of, because we can bounce a lot of ideas, share information, and also the way they structure their training. There's quite a lot of intense training. Even myself, look, I've been in the industry for 20 years, brickie by trade and registered builder. So I do know a bit about the industry, the whole construction industry. But again, when it comes to doing building inspections, look, you still need to know how to write up a report. Everything needs to be done in accordance to Australian standards. You need to know what you're looking for and how to write it up. So that sort of helped make the decision, like the way they had their training sort of structured. So you had something like a good guidelines to follow. So I was quite impressed with that.
Yep.
And look, they're actually one of the largest building inspection companies probably on the planet. There's about last time I checked, there was 157 of us in Australia.
Oh, far out.
So it's quite impressive. It's good to be, part of a big organisation. So that was another reason.
Oh, absolutely. And, obviously you've been doing it for a number of years, or you've been in the industry for a number of years now. Yeah. Like, can you tell us any interesting stories or anything that stands out?
something that I was never used to, especially being in the construction industry, was look, I've done my termite timber pest training. That's something that's I was like, wow, these things are quite destructive. You know, like after I've done quite a few inspections, and you come across some of the damage that these things can do. It's like, wow, mate, these things are, you know, it's an eye opener. Really, you think, wow, some of the damage they do to a building. Yeah, look, to me that was very impressive. Not something that I was ever used to or exposed to, like especially doing new homes, new construction. It's just you don't see it.
All
That
right.
was one thing that was a real eye opener, and the other thing was actually that I was never even aware of was the whole methamphetamine contamination in homes. That's another really interesting topic.
Yep.
But the damage that can be caused through people that smoke meth in the homes or cooking it in the homes, because it's not something that you can, you know, visually see. It doesn't have you can't see the meth damage. You know, there's no telltale signs. Anyway, you need to get it tested. So, and again, that can be some huge damage to get rectified.
Yeah.
So that's another interesting topic.
And is that something you guys test for, or?
I do, yes. I do quite a few tests. I'm actually doing another one tomorrow. Look, it's not something that people generally request because I think it's quite an expensive test. Look, we can be, but look, there's different stages of testing. And look, the amount of homes that we come across that are contaminated, like especially some family homes, you think, oh, you know, there wouldn't be nothing wrong with it. And you get a client that asks for it, look, and it comes back positive.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a lot of shocked people, put it that way. So, yeah, it's just one of those a different service that we do that, look, I'm sure there's other guys out there doing it, but look, it's an extra service that I do. So,
no, wicked.
Yeah.
No, because I think New Zealand, it's compulsory as much as
every single home.
Yeah, building and pest, you also have to get a methamphetamines test.
That's right.
Over there,
the banks won't actually finance you unless you have your clearance, clearance certificate. So it's pretty big over there. And you know, at WA, we're always wait a while. So
yeah.
we're always behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, because I know I think Queensland were in the process of introducing something similar. So, but I'm not too sure how far that's sort of come. So.
Look, because WA, like we've got the highest percentage of users, or whatever they say, out of all of Australia. So the damage that they're doing to homes, and especially like a lot of them, the way that some of the cooks they're operating here, you know, like they've got there's different methods, obviously how they do their cooking and that type of stuff. But basically, the process they've got, especially in WA, they call it shake and bake. They just put a few of their little ingredients into like just a normal, 2-litre plastic bottle. They shake it up, put it over their cooktop, cook it up, and there you go. You know, it's quite an easy recipe that they're doing over here, and they're actually using a lot of short-term properties like
Airbnb and things.
Airbnbs is one of their popular spots. You know, they'll get in, they can book it out for a couple of nights, get in there, do what they got to do, get out and off to the next. So they're never in the same location. They're consistently on the move, and by them doing this, they're actually contaminating quite a fair few properties. Hotels is another bad one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just whether people are aware or not. It's something interesting that I've also learned along the way.
So, I mean, in terms of buying an established home, what would be sort of your top 3 tips for, people looking to buy, either things to look out for or?
I've actually got something I had written down. There's a couple of things that I actually like to share with you that I actually got. One of them is I actually got through the Master Builders Association.
Yep.
I'll just read it out to you. I did have it here. Sorry, Logan. Oh, here it is. This is an interesting one that I got through the MBA. I think there's a bit of confusion, especially with the, some of the buyers. They're going there, they're getting a, subject to a structural inspection, and there's a whole heap of confusion as into what they're actually covered for. You know, a lot of people think, I've got a building inspection subject to a structural, so I think a lot of items are covered. There's a whole heap of confusion about that. I'll just read what I got from the Master Builders Association. The Master Builders Association has requested REWA's assistance with asking real estate practitioners to note the difference between a condition report and a structural report on residential property when a building inspection report is a condition of the sale. In that regard, the MBA advises that many buyers request a structural report but do not realise that this does not cover items such as a leaky shower or other non-structural items. This misunderstanding can cause future problems for the agent or a building inspector when the buyer discovers a non-structural defect not covered by the building report. The MBA recommends that the implications of a structural report should be made clear to potential buyers during the negotiation stage. So that's, again, I'm sure I don't know whether you must come across that a fair bit yourself, where, you know, like the inspector might pick up on a couple of little items, non-structural, and then, you know, it comes back, oh, so who's going to fix this? And do you get that type of something common?
It does happen often where, like, you know, obviously buyers who aren't necessarily buying and selling properties every day, like we are, you know, do and don't sometimes understand what's actually included with the building inspections and what's warranted and what's not. So sometimes it comes down to the agent being very, very clear and explaining it. Other times, if the agent hasn't done like such a good job in explaining how that part of it works, it does create headaches down the track, because obviously the reports do come back. And if it is an older property and things like block gutters or, you know, bits and pieces that are really just maintenance items are sort of pop up and highlighted, and, you know, that there's an assumption that, oh, they'll be fixed prior to settlement. So again, if the agent's doing the job properly in the first place, you know, you can sort of mitigate a lot of those issues later on by just explaining again, you know, what's actually included and what's maintenance and what's structural. But sometimes, you know, the building inspectors do get pretty creative in the recommendations and and what's in, you know, what should be fixed and what shouldn't be fixed. So we just try to, again, over explain as to how the process works. And yeah, sometimes it does get a bit interesting, but 9 times out of 10 we can sort of level with people. So
yeah, of course, I always like to you know, every client always go through the reports, and I like to sit down and have a chat and we'll run through the report, and I'll explain to them a lot of it's maintenance items, but it's also good for us to point out, you know, general maintenance items, so that way when they do move in, you know, they can take care of these little things themselves, and look, it'll save, you know, other damage from occurring down the track, you know, leaking showers. A lot of it's just general wear and tear, replace the seals, and a couple of 3 tips for, well, this is something, again, I don't think, again, WA, we do things a bit back to front here, but look, I know over East, most people, before they go and, you know, look at a property or put an offer in, they're actually getting the building inspection done first. So at least they've got, you know, the ins and outs of the property, what's the condition of the property before they're making an offer. Yeah, I think that's always a good practice, but again, that's not something that most people in WA, we do that.
Yeah, the biggest hesitation there is obviously making a financial commitment to something that's not locked in or like agreed upon. So there's sort of pros and cons with both, because obviously the building inspection and things do cost money. So some people would rather have a contract in place that's agreed and it's just minor conditions that need to be met before we go to settlement. But I mean, you know, I know at Cape Horn Young we do auctions, so sometimes you are, as a buyer, required to do your due diligence prior to the auction. So some buyers will actually have the building inspections and things like that done in the first week or 2 of the campaign to make sure on auction day they know exactly what they're buying.
Especially with the auctions, that's I think that's a great idea.
So
that's one, and there's another thing that I do different to everyone else, because again, there's a difference between a structural inspection and a full comprehensive. And again, to save the whole hassle of what I just read out before, look, I always do a full comprehensive building inspection for all my clients. So that way there's never no comeback. Oh, look, you didn't check I've got a shower that's leaking now to the other side of the wall. So I always do a full comprehensive. I always recommend to all clients, look, it doesn't cost any much extra, but you got full peace of mind, you know, everything what's going on with the building. So I think that's something I always do. And obviously the other most important thing to do when looking at buying an established property is, look, always check out qualifications of your building inspector. Being that it's an unregulated industry, there's so many guys out there that are offering this service without the proper qualifications, insurance, training. So it's something that people should be aware of.
Well, yeah, it can be quite costly, especially if it's not done properly. So,
Yeah,
because
it can be. Look, end of the day, look, it is a big commitment you're making. So, it's not like you're going out and buying, $20 at the shop. It's a couple $100,000 to $1 million plus whatever, type of investment. So you want someone that's qualified and suitable to do the job.
yeah, for sure. And you did mention before you have clients that sort of engage you for new builds or building. That's probably not. Is that common, or is that sort of?
Look, it always is common. Look, it is good practice. Like when, especially if the builder's aware that there is going to be an independent building inspector coming on board. Look, it actually does change the game a little bit. They make sure they put generally the best supervisors, the best trades go, do the job. But not only that, I think it's good practice, especially I do a few of them. And look, the way I look at it is I'm not there to be a pain in the ass to them. It's more, trying to work with them, because a lot of these, especially the supervisors, look, they're under the pump. They could have 30 or 40 jobs on the go, and they're doing long hours, long days. They just don't have enough time to be on site, of every single project and look after everything. It's not possible. So look, it's always good practice. And with the new construction, I do a few things a little bit different to other guys. I do a few different stages. Like one thing that there's probably the most critical stages in new construction is your base stage, slab, obviously your plate height and your roof. Like particularly your base. This is before they lay the slab. You want to make sure that all your reinforcements are in place. It's the correct reinforcements, right thickness. So they got the starter bars in, have the load-bearing walls being trenched out and recessed, and you need to check all these things, screw piles, everything. Once they pull the slab, you can't check any of that. And these are the critical components. So there's a couple of extra things that I do. So yeah, roof frames, another separate. I like to, inspect once the blokes have finished their frame. You can actually inspect the roof frame. You can, see every single detail of it. Once you've got your roof cover on, it's a bit harder to see everything. So
get up into the space.
You can't really inspect. You can still get up into the roof void, but you've got the roof frame on, the roof cover on, and you just can't see everything correctly down to the edge of where the eaves is. So I like to do every single stage of inspection. So if there is any issues, look, get it repaired before it moves on to the next. I find most people these days are just getting their PCI handover done. So look, all these other stages of construction, if there was any issues, it's just been plastered up, painted over, and she'll be right for a couple of years. So one of those things.
So there is a lot of value getting you involved basically a lot earlier than just coming in for the last sort of inspection.
100%. That way we can cover every single stage of construction. That every single stage has been built in accordance to the plans, engineers detail, and obviously in accordance to the construction codes, the NCC and BCA. So it's all critical.
Yeah. Well, with your experience, you'll be able to pick up on a lot of the tricks of the trade, I guess you'd call it. The
industry's changed big time, mate. Since my old man's been, even as a young kid, I used to go to work with him, and just the different building methods and building products have changed dramatically.
Yeah.
So, like now, like they say, they don't build them like they used to, mate. We go and inspect, old homes that are 40, 60 years old. There might be the occasional crack here and there, which, it's normal. You go into these new homes, reasonably new, the whole house is just cracking everywhere. It's just the way things are designed is just not good.
Yeah.
That's how it is. So yeah, very important in choosing your builder. Most important is the blokes on site. They're the ones building your house, not the people in the office.
Yep. That's a good point, actually.
Very good point, mate.
And so obviously at the moment, the world's going through the whole COVID stuff. Like, have you had much impact on how you're doing business at the moment, or is it pretty much of a muchness, or?
Pretty much. Look, we had a little bit of a slowdown, which is expected across everyone, across the industry. But look, the only thing that changed differently is when we were carrying out inspections, look, we would cover up, gloves, mask, just for our clients' protection and going obviously into people's homes as well, so they can sort of feel at ease. And it's pretty much the only difference that we've implemented. Still conducting business as normal, but obviously with a few safety measures in place. We did have a few questions that we used to ask, has anyone been sick, traveled, but obviously we don't have to do that anymore because obviously with the whole travel bans. But yeah, we still have the gloves and mask policy still in place.
No, awesome.
So yeah, we're still business as usual.
Yeah, I think that's everyone's punchline at the moment. So, well, I mean, it's, I guess we're sort of in a situation now where we have a plan moving forward, as long as there's no sort of second outbreak or like any further issues. Hopefully we can stick to the dates that have been put out there, and it's pretty exciting, especially if you're little old WA. So
best place in Australia, mate.
No, that's it. No, that was awesome. Is there anything else you wanted to say, or any?
Oh, look, mate, just want to thank you for taking the time out and having a good chat. And look, hopefully when this settles down, we have to catch up for a coffee or a beer, mate.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds good. And how do people get in touch with you if they do want to sort of have a chat or have further questions? Or
you can call anyone can call the call center on 131 546 and ask for Tony.
Yep, and you got all that behind.
That's the easy way. Yeah, look, I'm the only Tony in the as part of the gym. So there's a few other names. There's a couple of Pauls. Don't ask for Paul. No, just joking. No, there's Tony from gym. It's all good.
No, that was awesome, and some great tips and some real points of value there that a lot of people really appreciate, and things I didn't even think of, especially having a building inspector involved with the building process. Certainly make sure that the builders are putting their best foot forward, knowing that things are going to be looked at and checked on and not just sort of brushed over, as you sort of mentioned. So
look, it's peace of mind. I've actually had a couple of clients. Look, it affects people dramatically. I had a client just on the weekend, mate, how distraught this lady was. She's had nothing but dramas since the start of it. She was actually on site. This was just Saturday. She actually collapsed on the building site because she just can't handle the pressure and of dealing with it. So it's like you can pass this stress and responsibility onto us, and we'll take care of it for you.
Yeah.
So it does affect people dramatically.
Well, it's like us as real estate agents sometimes, when people have a go at selling it themselves and realize how much we actually put into things. But
yeah, that's right.
But anyways, well, yeah, again, thanks so much for coming on. And, I'm certain I'll be seeing more of you around, obviously, the Applecross and surrounding suburbs.
Cool.
And again, we'll catch you next time.
Logan, thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, mate.